Hi, Lona. How are you?
Hi, I'm so excited to be here with you, Marianne. I am doing well in the middle of hot Bali, which is 30 degrees at night here, and for you it's early in the morning in Texas. So quite the different worlds that
Yes.
we're spanning in this Rainbow Bridge conversation about intimacy and
I am so
exploration.
thankful for you to
Yes,
join us today. And
thank you.
yeah, I'm, like you were saying, like here in Texas, it's not that hot yet, but it can get that hot for like probably 80% of the year sometimes. So,
Oh my God.
so we're
I've
kind of enjoying this for now, but we'll see what happens. But again, like I'm so excited to hear about your topic today about creating intimacy. Like I know you and I were chatting before, but I think it's definitely a subject that a lot of people definitely they yearn for. I think a lot of people don't know what to call it. I think a lot of times they get it, maybe they might get it confused with like love and like this passionate love, but it's definitely something more than that, right? As far
well,
as like finding it outside of someone, right?
right. I ultimately we have to ask ourselves when we talk about sexploration, right, which is the topic of this entire span of all of your interviews, the part I would like to focus on today with my camera focusing is the ability of creating intimacy, and which I think is located out of the body in the center of our soul. And like you said, it is something that can be independent of anybody else. It is deeply the love affair between ourselves and the universe, the center of all creation. But there are some fundamental laws in creation, in which we'll go through, that we can harness in order to help our evolution, which increases love. Duh, so many people say love, God is love, and increase our ability to love, our ability to experience ecstasy and a sense of union. And intimacy, by definition, means to be very close, intimate, and that implies usually the depth of our being, not necessarily a part of our body. Intimacy is like I have an intimate conversation with someone, really sharing my heart, sharing my soul. So the creating of intimacy can actually be learned, which is super exciting for anybody listening in, because I've taught seminars for the last over 3 decades in all over the world and have written books about it. The ability to train yourself to be aware in your subtle bodies, especially in your soul body, which I call the diamond seat of your soul, and to learn how to connect with another being from that dimension, um, touches into union and then creates a sense of ecstasy in both people, so that I oftentimes say in seminars, promise that you won't marry each other for the first 6 months after the seminar, because people literally can fall in love simply by eye gazing. It's actually, if you can Google it, The Secret of Falling in Love, one of the articles I guarantee will be, this is the first time my camera has done that, it's probably nighttime, um, is the ability to open your heart and soul to another. And if you eye gaze, which I'll explain to you how you can practice this at home during our conversation, you can tune into other levels of yourself and then feel the other person in that presence. So I'd like to go with you and all of us through the definition of the normal self, the higher self, and the soul awareness, and why union of souls can create that degree of intimacy and actually improve your orgasm. So let's go.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It'll have to focus on itself.
Yes.
I don't know what. All right, go for it. You'll ask me some questions and I'll answer.
Oh, so I wanted to hear about you saying about the differentiation between, like the higher self and this, the, I guess what they would say like the 3D dimensional self. Um,
Okay,
because I think that's
right.
definitely something that a lot of people aren't really familiar with.
Right. So we all think of intimacy oftentimes related to the body, the right touch, the right dress, the the right look, the slim body, the perfect mood, the candlelight or whatever, maybe particular strokes we want to learn of that can turn us on. And incidentally, I would recommend everybody get familiar with what turns different signs on. There is a book on the sexology of the different zodiac signs, and different signs get turned on differently. I remember reading about Pisces men, they like older women on top.
It's very
Gemini,
specific.
yeah, very specific.
Yeah.
And then very specific for same sex people as opposite sex people, and for the male and for the female, and what fantasies turn people on. And like, for example, a Gemini, which I am, you get to a Gemini through the subtle bodies. Uh, they're more mentally and subtle body acute, so they're very good in esoteric perceptions, and they would rather cringe if a person were to try to do the right steps and physically touch the right spots, but rather turn on when somebody comes at them through the subtle dimensions. So naturally, I'm gravitating towards the subject I'm going to share with you, which is, how do you get to somebody's subtle dimensions, right? So let's break down. We have the physical body. We all know what that means. The erogenous zones, are here or there or the other. Licking the big toe. That was one of my techniques when I was a teenager into my 20s. I certainly applied that very effectively. And then we proceed into feeling ourselves as an energy being, as an emotional being. And sharing heart to heart is very important in creating intimacy. Being transparent, sharing your deepest secrets. Actually, if you want to make someone fall in love with you or feel really connected, share your secrets, share their secrets. People actually start bonding over sharing secrets with each other. And many times people, when they've been married for a while, stop sharing secrets, creating walls. And Eric Fromm wrote in The Art of Loving that every small little lie builds the wall up until it becomes such a brick wall there is no more intimacy. There is just pretending to be a person that you think the other person might like, whether you're doing it because you think you might not be loved for who you are, or for manipulative reasons, in thinking that I want to get as much as I can get for myself and lose as little by not telling the truth. Pretending not to want to hurt other people. Those are all excuses for undoing intimacy, and the sexuality will fall away accordingly. So opening to a new person, when we open and share our heart, that's an emotional engagement. Now, mental engagement and sharing our transparency and becoming seeable and therefore lovable. And when we go beyond that, now in the chakra system, you have all the 7 chakras, right? The crown chakra. And you can train yourself to go beyond the 7 chakras into the 8th chakra and above. And you can train your awareness into shifting into non-dual states, at which point, at some point, you feel like you transcend time, space as we know it. And you become aware of simply being consciousness. And there are stages of training that. So I like to train people to go to the first level of soul awareness in a weekend seminar, and one step beyond that. And when people first go into their higher self, right, they imagine themselves to be, and you can do this along with me.
Yeah.
Who are you? Who are you in your highest self? Who would you ideally like to be? Let's take on an energy form, a color, a shape. Would be Superman, Superwoman? Would you be the genie? Would you be a butterfly? Would you be an angel? Would you be a cloud? Whatever, maybe an avatar being. And maybe allow yourself in your mind, just maybe even close your eyes for a second, to enter that space of such a creative, beautiful, juicy, whatever you want, alive, vibrant being. And start feeling into the qualities that you'd like to emanate, the qualities of your energy field. Are you gentle, kind? Are you clear, strong? and give it color, shape, and just let the first images of color or shape come in. I remember having seen one of those extraterrestrial movies, and they were these elongated, really wafy alien beings that existed, were like light shapes. That's how I imagined myself, with this pink energy of being, this embracing guardian light energy being. But whatever it is for you, it has qualities and light. And now for a moment, imagine this beautiful opposite sex or same sex, masterful being of your choice coming, walking towards you. And if you imagined this being in his or her most radiant form, approaching you, gazing at you, ever closer, how does the air between you feel? And how close is this being coming to you? And as you experience this other being, what qualities do you sense about him or her or it? And allow yourself, and this is something you can do into your daily, take into your daily meditations or just playful imageries. Imagine playing with the boundary of how close this being comes to you, or at some point maybe how much you allow that person or being to interpenetrate you and to be interwoven with you. See, I have found that to the degree that I allow this energy being to be, I can see you transfixed, come into me, is to that degree my partner also felt that much more closely. Like when there are different days we have, and some days it's like we have harder shells or stronger identities, and some days we're more permeable, more open, more grand, wave-like. So we alternate in our daytime consciousness between particle and wave consciousness, quantum words for transcending time space as we know it when we move into wave type being. And interpenetration happens a lot easier when we go into a wave. Now, that's what we feel like doing in the beginning when we fall in love. We open ourselves and we let ourselves be interpenetrated. And just a gaze and a sharing of words, a poem, or a color, or a glance undulates in our hearts. And that creates a sense of intimate connection without having taken any clothing off. Now, in my book, Dream Big, the Universe is Listening, I describe one story of making love out of body. And I was 19 and I had this amazing classical musician taking me on a bicycle tour. And we were going to spend the night together. I was 19, he was 36, very finely tuned in terms of music and high dimensional awareness. We bicycled ever so slowly and arrived, eventually having to spend a night in a room where the beds were opposite, I mean, like facing head to head, much to our chagrin. But we started touching hands overhead and were ever so slow in our interconnection and sensing every ounce, every nuance of the meaning of what the other one was feeling. And it took my awareness into such a heightened presence. Well, mind you, the other person was there as well, that I found that initiatory in my passage into multiple dimensional lovemaking. So I describe more details and multiple details in my books, various books, Wisdom of the Dolphins or Dolphins, Love and Destiny, Yoga of the Soul, and the awareness that we can train. Now, when we go to the next level, now this is the higher self type of energy, right? Wave-like. When we go to a level where we are aiming at becoming the pinnacle of the apexes in ourselves, like a brilliant single star of light that starts just penetrating as a consciousness. When you get to those places, you can start interpenetrating with another person's star consciousness and overlap them. And when you get really good at this, this will take some practice. You create a single diamond, which all the people I've taught, they express it as a spiral dance until they become one in that single moment of union. And then they explode into a star with a whoosh, so to speak. Uh, and when you take that exercise into lovemaking and into the moments of making in love through interpenetration sexually and into approaching into orgasmic moments, breathing your breath upward into that divine universe, into the singularity of the two. You can it's like going up and going down. It's like the body pulls our attention and we go and stop through our breath and give it time to slow down and bring awareness back into the energy body. It's a alternating between engagement in the inner dimensions and outer dimensions. It's not just sitting still completely. It's totally up to us, but we can usually combine them alternatingly. When you augment that and increase that journey into union again and again, at the moment of orgasm, I guarantee that your orgasm will last, I want to say 10 times longer, many times more intense than when we simply go with our attention into the basement of our awareness, into the base chakra and go woof, 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 and feel just the undulation of our muscles. But if we bring that energy up into our heart, into our partner, into our third eye, into our partner, into our crown chakra, into our partner, into the diamond self, into God, through and with our partner, into union, that by far satisfies the depth of our being. And we are incredibly rewarded by feeling connected to the all at the in the process of unifying with our beloved. We become unified and offer ourselves up as a gift to the divine. And that can be done with clothing on or off.
That sounds amazing.
That was
So,
a little long of an answer, but that was the physical self, the energy self, and the soul self. All take time and practice to get there.
yeah. So if let's say like, you're really into that kind of practice, right? This like transcendentalism and quantum physics type stuff, but let's say your partner's not quite there. Is this still something that you could experience with them, or is it one of those things where you'd have to hold that space for someone who meets you on that wavelength?
I want to ask all of us to be more judicial when dating. If you don't drink alcohol and your partner does, just walk the other way. If they start smoking, lighting up, doing drugs, walk the other way. It depends a little bit on you. I have people who write me and said, I met my soulmate, but he just doesn't know it yet. Particularly women will write that. I have had men write that too. And it's like it takes two to tango. It takes us to be in full realization level, whatever that is, and then seek a partner who matches us. In one of my dream instructions, I had a whole description of how we walk through the zodiac signs in our evolution, alternating between male and female incarnations, and having somewhat more than feminine and more masculine in that feminineness until we incarnate. Then we experience the masculine in a more feminine way, taking on more masculinity until it becomes all masculine, and then on through all the zodiac cycles. Well, then they showed me that it would go up a notch at a higher frequency range during the whole trip again. Then doing that another level and then another level. They showed me 4 levels, whatever that was for. And they said, pick a partner from your own level. We so easily, and especially women, underestimate ourselves and sell ourselves down instead of up. There are women who will look for the lead animal and the alpha male and the big breadwinner and all that. But oftentimes, uh, especially in the new age movement, women are very capable and will sometimes settle for a guy who is less, but who appeals to their sexual chakra. So find out what appeals to your base chakra. That's oftentimes called your karma attraction, the one you have to work love out with and learn to love. Well, I just had a conversation with a man who's like, I'm just so drawn to women with whom I just wind up having so much karma and so much learning to love them, rather than being attracted to a person who's at your level, where the chemistry starts from the soul level instead of from the bottom up. So when you pick your partner and you say, well, if you already have a partner of 30 years, and you suddenly evolve and your partner doesn't, well, we're in it for a little bit of a challenge, right? I know people who do that, and sometimes they come up with creative solutions saying, I'm having a practice partner, or I'm just meditating with another friend. And, the fireworks go off in their meditation and they never touch. I can, you can be deeply intimate in your soul and totally satisfied through non-physical contact. So some people may have to say, what are the boundaries within my relationship? And then always ask, always ask, and give each other the right to veto. That will guarantee that both of you are feeling safer in whatever you do. But some people just have very tight boundaries. Other people have more permeable boundaries. Whatever works for you. If you have a partner who's not at your level, but you want to stay with them because you have the house and the kids and the dog, then you need to ask yourself, what concessions are you willing to make? Because you obviously have values that say, I want to stay here. But if you have a chance to pick someone at your own level, at your own interest level. And sometimes it's just starting to say, look, honey, here's a book, let's read it together. Bringing your partner into your sharing, always sharing your interests, the books you read, the movies you watch. My ideal version of relationship is a very big overlap. It has a very high um, sharing amount. There are people who would like to have just a quarter of themselves being shared. Some people just want to touch in. Some people want to have a 75% overlap. So you need to find out how deeply one you want to be on a daily basis. Like right now, we're all facing probably with our let's stay home together uh, coronavirus training in Hermitage. And Don and I do this type of Hermitage every year, 3 months out of the year. We live on an island in North America when we are not here in Bali, where I am right now. And here is a retreat center, and we are in the hubbub of a lot of people there. We are by ourselves technically. We have a secretary, but we practically don't see people. So we're used to being with each other 24/7. In China right now, I hear the biggest divorce rates are happening because
Yes.
they just couldn't handle each other.
Yeah,
It's
I read
like,
the same article.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So say again, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that I read the same article actually, and I was just laughing. I was like, because you're right. I mean, it's again like having to be forced to be with somebody and then trying to now figure out, okay, how do we become intimate, or how do we like cohabitate? How do we interact? How do we intermingle? And like you're saying, like when you're not present or you're not authentic with your partner, you're kind of like, oh, who is this person, or where do these traits come from? And because you're right, you're past this honeymoon, what they call like the honeymoon phase, and like reality sets in. And like you said, if you're not communicating and evolving, it's
Then
a
we
lot of,
start, right, then we
yeah.
start becoming a functioning role rather than the exchange of our ups and downs together. What my husband and I did is the work that we teach. One of the many things that we do together was the work of Dr. Vern Wolf, and his techniques are included in the course Living from Vision. And it's a course teaching people how to access their higher states of mind, to co-create reality, to focus goal setting, but also how to live from a higher dimension. And one of the things that is included in there is this technique by Dr. Vern Wolf, is how to deal with negative energies, how to deal with unfinished business, with anger. And so a lot of people stop intimacy because they stop dealing with their negativity, their own negativity towards themselves, towards the world, or towards their partner. We will come into conflict. We can go through it. We can face it just like every challenge on life. The moment we are willing to face it, um, that moment we are able to discover the hidden gem within the problem, because inherent in the I'm going to try and not touch it. Let's say no. Inherent in the negativity is the embedded desire for the next level of truth. I think this is my touching everybody. What do you think?
I think so.
Um, the ability to share your deepest, darkest secrets or your anger, as long as you can realize it doesn't have to be projected onto the other person, you simply realize it is an energy that wishes to express itself. It's not happy as it is. It could be fear, it could be anger, it could be whatever negative. Even if it's being late coming to a meeting, that anger, that fear or frustration has the desire to arrive on time, right? So in my book, Wisdom of the Dolphins, I describe taking that anger, communicating with it, and finding out what it would be in its fulfilled future. And it would wanted to meet whoever it looked like we were not able to meet. And by bringing the future into the now and merging the potential future with the negative now point into singularity, we create a quantum jump. When you put two into one, a quantum jump evolves. And earlier I said the universe embedded in it has a secret. It unifies continuously. It also diverges and creates multiplicity, but it's always in this dance of continued attempt at union. So love is our natural drive. And love is our natural state of wanting and then to get together into union and ascend to the next higher order, to the synthesis of the two beings. Oftentimes that's creating a family or children, but then we need to go into individuation and rediscover the next level of union, right? So a marriage goes through, or partnerships go through layers and layers of distancing and coming together, waves of individuation, finding yourself, bringing that newness to each other. And if you keep, and that's my secret, keep your unification at a higher level in God and give that the job to watch over you, then you have a third party, God, or the union of the two of you in that union, watching to make sure you always come into that singularity again. And the universe supports that type of movement into oneness and provides us with feedback, pleasure, increased ecstasy, joy, fulfillment, love. The love is actually what happens when two go into one. Every time you can practice this, you can make this artificially happen. You can learn how to open yourself up. You're me. Feeling of harmony and states love expresses itself into feelings of euphoria, of fulfillment. So our universe gives us feedback that we're on the right path when we feel those feelings. And that's why I'm encouraging people to learn to discover themselves, their energy bodies, and discover how to rise into the levels of energy and singularity and consciousness in order to arrive at the pinnacle of all that is, which is the divine and you unified.
I love that. And I think that's definitely something that a lot of people, they don't, um, I guess it's one of those ideas where they have to kind of constantly think that, like you said, like we're always evolving and we're always, in whatever relationship, intimate, like work relationship, we're always coming together and like diverging, like evolving. And I think, a lot of times people get stuck in this checklist for life, right? I go to
Right.
college, get married, never married, we buy the house, you know what I mean? And then it's just kind
Then
of like,
they're done.
yeah, and then they're done and they're just
Yeah.
like, and then like you're saying, like there's no more sharing of this energy anymore. And then, it's like you said, it's either you come together or you you figure out. And I think you were kind of alluding to earlier, polyamory maybe even, and it's kind of like, what does then your relationship even look like now, right? And there's just so many layers to all of this.
Many of the universe very permanent, and but for most people that's even more challenging to have someone else be deeply affect our evolution, right? And everything that my partner or I let into our life, that effect that's bleeding through the other person into our relationship. And so we need to negotiate those things together and really give each other the absolute right to say yes or no and honor that. That's if we really have a good partner, it's the best thing that we can do. That way, we don't pretend that we are somebody and then behind the body, behind the curtains, pretend or act something else. That way, we're always transparent, and transparency creates intimacy, creates union, creates love.
Mm.
And it's something you can take into old age. See, at some point in life, sexuality will become less potent. The hormones drop. The drivers, I mean, believe it or not, sexuality is driven by hormones, yeah? I
Mm.
mean, duh. And older people are less sexual a lot of the times. Now, whether that happens when people are 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 is irrelevant. For a lot of women, it happens due to menopause. For different men, it happens at different times in their lives. Uh, so men and women have to harmonize themselves, but they can always harmonize in intimacy of soul. That's something you can do however old you are. And when you practice when you're young, you're sure to be able to do it when you're older. And that's what glues our souls together and makes us in love, whatever we do with our bodies.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah,
Fortunately, we're out of time.
I
I just
know.
wanted to close. If you have one piece of knowledge that you would just love to bestow on our viewers right now, that you think will kind of help them reach their best life, what would that be?
The first sentence that came to my mind truly was from the Bible, and I'm not a Bible person or a Christian at that matter. I was raised that way, but the first sentence that came to mind was, seek the kingdom of heaven, seek the kingdom of God, and heaven will be bestowed upon you. Um, Focus on the center of the universe, which is the center of your soul, connecting to the center of all that is, and you will be able to find that union with another person. When we make the greatest origin of life our goal, everything else will be permeated by that and will be blessed by that. That's really, truly my greatest message I could pass on to anybody ever.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think it's really true. I think a lot of people would definitely agree with you on that. Is that, working on yourself and everything else will just kind of fall into place. Like,
Well,
obviously,
that's
like,
also
yes,
divine union. Go
yes,
to the center, go to
yes,
God. Put God first,
yes.
and then make sure that that other relationship, the man or the woman in your life, has that same priority. Bar none, that will create a long-lasting relationship.
I agree. Yeah, thank you so much.
You're
So if
welcome.
somebody is
Yes.
watching this and they're like, you know what, Ilona is amazing. I'd love to work with her. What would be the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Well, my website, Ilona Selke, it's Ilona, like in Sam, E like in Edward, LKE, ilonaselke.com or ilonaselke.online. We have a number of online courses, some for $1, some for more. Um, on my website, you can get an app for free, ilonaselke.com. You can get an app for free if you would like to start tuning into your own inner truth and pre-creating your day from the inside out, becoming the co-creative agent that you already are, but bring more consciousness into your daily life. Envision the things you want. I have people focusing on their soulmate and they get them. They some take a month, some take a couple years, but whatever they do, they create from the inside out the fulfillment first within themselves, and then it shows up on the outside. So ilonaselke.com or ilonaselke.online, and
Okay.
there you can find my
Yeah.
work and books and free things to download and listen to.
Yeah, so I did see on your website that you had some videos on YouTube. Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I have a
Um,
YouTube channel, Ilona Selke on
yes.
YouTube. Yeah,
Yeah.
just go for there. I have a German channel and an English channel, so I guess our audience will be the English channel.
Or it could be German, hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I will definitely send this one around to some of my German audience because everybody's interested in intimacy, sexuality, eroticism, and higher union of soul. I mean, we are made of it. We were made of it, and it is the natural drive of life.
Yeah, and I think with what's going on in our world, I feel like a lot of people now are trying to move more towards a more unified union. And
Feel,
it is one of
yes,
those things where a lot of people associate with like sexuality, but now they're learning it's more than that. Like you said, it's connecting really to the divine ultimately.
yes,
And
exactly.
truth be
Yes.
told, that's really kind of my drive to do stuff like this. Is like how can we move people towards a higher awareness, higher consciousness, right?
Yes,
And so,
wonderful.
yeah,
I'm so excited that you have this. You'll have a whole bandwidth of people talking, and I'm glad that you asked me to contribute
yeah.
this part of the journey with your audience.
Of course, and again, thank you so much for taking the time out. Like, I really enjoyed talking to
Thank
you.
you.
I want
Me too.
everybody to kind of check out her channel, check her out. I think you're amazing, and your work is
Thank
amazing.
you.
And
Same.
read her books. So,
Yes.
thank you.
Go to Amazon, Ilona Selke, and you'll see all the books. And it's amazing how much we can grow. It is amazing how much we can grow once we get started. If one is just getting started, get started by reading some books. And you mentioned Transcendental Sex. That was one of my books that I started first. Be Here Now, Transcendental Sex, Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment, the autobiography of a yogi when I was 17, 18 years old. And, it's just as a journey of life. Eventually you become a master at what you do, and then you teach others. So, it's really exciting
Yes,
to be alive in this time where those things are allowed to be in public.
yes, yeah. And that's a great point. Is that everybody has to start somewhere, right? I
Yeah.
think a lot of times people they hear somebody talk about higher self and they're just like and
What
but
is
you're right,
that? Right.
it's a journey, right? Even
Right.
meditation, a lot of people are like, oh well, I can't meditate, I can't sit still. I'm like you're saying, like everything you just have to practice it, practice small and then you'll be able to work up to a bigger practice. And
Right.
so
Right. You start out with a smaller region of effect and you expand to whatever feels comfortable. And it's not a competition. It's not how many minutes a day you meditate, how many orgasms you have. It's whatever you do it well, you know and just do it continuously because you will keep growing. So eventually, yeah, we reach a greater dimension in all aspects of our being.
yes, thank you. Well, thank you again
Yes.
for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank
Yeah.
you. Have a great time, and let's all get through this. And I'm looking forward to hearing from the people that
Oh
are
yeah,
listening.
definitely.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Stay, hopefully you
Namaste.
won't be too hot there.
Yeah, well, tomorrow morning it'll be felt 39.
Okay. All right.
Fine.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.